The time 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Dilin Gunawardena and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. The President states that both the public and private sectors should join hands to contribute to the development of the country. Sri Lanka will receive $60 million in financial assistance from the Asian Development Bank. The Prime Minister says the local government election could not be held on time due to the economic crisis. The Cabinet spokesman, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, says that the power entitled to the President to appoint ministers cannot be questioned. Plans are underway to plant coffee in a land of 400 hectares in 2024. And on international news, the UN chief says Palestinians are currently enduring one of the darkest chapters of their history. And on sports cricket, the case against the Sri Lanka Cricket Interim Committee, the new sports minister asked to present status on the matter. President Ranil Wickremesinghe states that both the public and private sectors should join hands and contribute to the development of the country. It will be a key factor that would help to overcome the crisis situation. The President made these remarks at the Sanasa National Conference held at the Sugadasa Indoor Stadium today. Plans are underway to empower the national economy. Higher education opportunities will be expanded in the next year. Vocational education will be restructured. He further added that it is expected to increase the production and to expand the exports of the field of agriculture. The government says it is planning to borrow $60 million from the Asian Development Bank ADB under the Second Integrated Road Investment Program Tranche 4 to finance carrying out the critical work of the already commenced and incomplete road sections of the overall Integrated Road Investment Program to improve road safety and minimize public inconvenience. The External Resources Department of the Finance Ministry said that the loan will be provided from ADB's concessional ordinary capital resources. The total investment cost of the fourth tranche is estimated at $68.5 million, out of which $8.5 million has been agreed to be borne by the government. The relevant loan agreement was signed today by the Secretary to the Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies and the Country Director of the ADB Sri Lanka Resident Mission. Today was the sixth day of the committee stage debate of the budget. The expenditure votes of the Minister of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government are taken into debate today. Joining the debate, Premier Dinesh Gunawardena said that the economic revival and food security program has made the effort to increase the production of food a success. Consequently, inflation has decreased. The Prime Minister further pointed out the significance of all parties concerned working together to hold the local government election, which could not be held on time due to the economic crisis. The State Minister, Vijitha Berugoda, said that 25% of youth representation has been included in the draft bill of the local government. Hence, he requested the government to implement this in the next local government election. He also said that the government should look into the transparency of the expenditure procedure implemented by the local government institutions. MP Vijitha Herath highlighted the difficulties faced by the government servants due to the high cost of living. He added that suspension of recruitments in the public sector has resulted in a number of issues. The State Minister D.B. Herath said that a program is underway to satisfy the public servants. Despite the economic issues faced, the salaries of the public sector have been increased. MP Gantha Karunatilaka said that the government servants make a great contribution to overcome the prevailing crisis. He requested the government to increase the allowances of the Grama Seva officers. MP Dalasalha Perum appreciated the limits imposed on the expenditure of the Prime Minister's office. The bodies that represent the public should not be inactive. It will have a negative impact on democracy. It will be a threat to the decentralization of power as well. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation and the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation will be converted into a public company. Minister Gunawardena expresses these views at the Ministerial Consultative Committee on Mass Media that met in Parliament under his chairmanship recently. Presenting statistics from 2015, the chair pointed out how these two channels have made losses. Pointing out that it is difficult for the Treasury to provide funds for these channels, the minister stated that there are plans to convert the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation and the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation into a public company. Accordingly, he further commented on the Cabinet that the Cabinet has decided to appoint a committee to take further action in this regard. The Minister further added that the public media should broadcast the inconveniences of the public as well as inform the public about the facilities that have been provided to the citizens following the development. The Minister of Agriculture has decided to plant coffee in a land of 400 hectares in 2024. Minister Mahinda Amaraweera says that an allocation of 400 million rupees has been made to achieve this objective. He further noted that this is implemented in order to re-promote coffee as a plantation crop considering the high demand for Sri Lankan coffee in the global market. The Minister said that an amount of 1 million rupees will be allocated per each hectare of coffee. 96 billion rupees have been allocated to the Ministry of Agriculture by the 2024 budget. Minister Mahinda Amaraweera made these remarks at a discussion held on the effective utilization of the budget allocation for the ministry. That ends local news now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
The Cabinet spokesman, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, says that the President holds the power to appoint and remove ministers and to assign ministries to the ministers. None is entitled to raise concerns over these matters within the Parliament or otherwise. The Cabinet ministers are bound by the Cabinet collective responsibility. The Minister made these remarks at a media conference held to inform the media of the Cabinet decisions taken. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
And on Watch Light this evening, the Consumer Affairs Authority will be carrying out a series of special raids during the upcoming festive season in a bid to prevent the exploitation of consumers. Accordingly, the program is slated to commence on the 30th of November, involving all investigative officers of the CAA. All major wholesale outlets and warehouses in all districts will be inspected and raided so as to ensure that expired products will not enter the market, while the CAA will also closely monitor all outlets selling clothes, electronics and other essential and durable goods. Mobile vendors and other stores hosting large seasonal sales will also be under supervision. In the event consumers have any complaints in this regard, they can contact the CAA via hotline 1977. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on with world news and the headlines first. The UN chief says Palestinians are currently enduring one of the darkest chapters of their history. Niger's military government repeals anti-migration law after 8 years. The first transatlantic flight using 100% green fuels is to take off tomorrow. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says Palestinians were enduring one of the darkest chapters of their history. In a statement ahead of the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, Guterres reiterated his call for a long-term ceasefire and release of all hostages held by Hamas. While condemning the October 7th attack, Guterres said it cannot justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people. He also called for unrestricted access for life-saving aid, the release of all hostages, the protection of civilians, and an end to violation of international humanitarian law. Niger's military government said it has revoked an anti-migration law that had helped reduce the flow of West Africans to Europe, but which was revealed by the desert dwellers whose economies had long relied on the traffic. The law, which made it illegal to transport migrants through Niger, was passed in May 2015 as the number of people travelling across the Mediterranean from Africa reached record highs, creating a political and humanitarian crisis in Europe where governments came under pressure to stop the influx. Niger's government repealed the law recently. The new order also stipulates that convictions handed down under the 2015 law shall be erased. The first transatlantic flight powered only by alternative fuels will take off from UK tomorrow morning. Operated by Virgin Atlantic, it will fly from London's Heathrow to New York's JFK Airport. Airlines see the flight, which is supported by government funding, as demonstrating that a greener way of flying is possible. But a lack of fuel supply remains a challenge, while other technology will be needed to hit emissions targets. Back to the world news headlines. The UN chief says Palestinians are currently enduring one of the darkest chapters of their history. Niger's military government repeals anti-migration law after 8 years. The first transatlantic flight using 100 green fuels is to take off tomorrow. That ends world news.
Development news.
The new Italian ambassador, Mr. Damiano Francovi, has expressed his concern to Prime Minister Dinesh Guruvardhana's request to look into matters urgently to introduce Colombo as a direct air and shipping destination with the aim of developing tourism between Italy and Sri Lanka. A meeting in this regard took place between the Prime Minister and the Italian ambassador yesterday. Discussions were held regarding further strengthening of bilateral relations between the two countries. In response to the Prime Minister's request, the ambassador said that the delegation of the Italian trade agencies will be sent for a discussion with the private sector of Sri Lanka in order to establish trade relationships between Sri Lanka and Italy. That came to you in development news. Moving on with sports news. The Court of Appeal has decided to take up for hearing on December 5th the motion seeking to revoke the stay order issued against the interim committee appointed for Sri Lanka cricket. Taking up for consideration the motion today, the court also informed the newly appointed Sports Minister Harin Fernando to present his status on the matter on the fixed date. The case has been moved to a new panel of judges of the Court of Appeal after a total of 3 judges had earlier recused themselves from hearing the motion. That came to you on our segment Cricket News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Orail Corporation, the leading electrical manufacturer in Sri Lanka, proudly announces a strategic partnership with Prime Residencies, a leading real estate company in the country, for the upcoming iconic project, the Palace Gampaha. The partnership was officially signed recently, which designates Orail Corporation as the primary contributor responsible for the external electrical systems in this innovative development. The director of the Prime Residencies, Mr. Nalinda Hinatigala, said that new projects are underway to provide a comfortable and luxurious lifestyle to its investors. The Assistant General Manager of the Orail Corporation, Mr. Pramudita Gurasinghe, said that their company is operating in 5 continents, including Europe and North America. That came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
The State Minister of Investment Promotion, Dilum Amnugama, says that the Board of Investment BOI has attracted investments worth $1.8 billion. $1.5 billion of them are foreign direct investments participating in a program, a progress review held by the BOI. The State Minister revealed that the Institute has managed to increase the value of approved and registered projects to $1.8 billion during the period from 1st January 2023 to 23rd November 2023. That ends Economic News.
Weather report.
Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the northern, eastern, north central, southern and over provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in other provinces of the island. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the eastern, central, Uva and Sabaragama provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The President states that both the public and private sectors should join hands to contribute to the development of the country. Sri Lanka will receive $60 million in financial assistance from the Asian Development Bank. The Prime Minister says the local government election could not be held on time due to the economic crisis. The Cabinet spokesman, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, says that the power entitled to the President to appoint ministers cannot be questioned. Plans are underway to plant coffee in a land of 400 hectares in 2024. And on international news, the UN chief says Palestinians are currently enduring one of the darkest chapters of their history. And on sports news, cricket, the case against the Sri Lanka Cricket Interim Committee, the new sports minister asked to present status on the matter. That ends this news broadcast, and now it's back to Chandima Veerakoon as always on a Tuesday evening. Back to you, Chandima.